Do we have a new odd couple to captivate our cinematic attention?
Am I the only one in the world who feels this way about Lucy?
Red and Red Real Reviews heads into the Wasteland for Fallout Season 2 on Amazon Prime.
I knew within the first 5 minutes I was going to hate it, but then it was so bad. Ugh.
Nobody wants this?
Like, literally nobody wants this.
Internet's going to get mad at me for this one. There's no fat elf.
Duty, which I can't say without laughing. Duty, like I'm English.
John B. and Sarah I don't want to sound like a loser for saying this, but they're adorable. I'll admit it. Welcome back, Red and Red Real Reviews. Yet again, another video game turned show, and yet again, another version of such that neither one of us has played.
That's true. This is the second or third one that
Third.
we've done. Third, yeah.
Definitely third. At least third. Three that I can remember, including this one.
Actually, you know what? Oddly enough, all of them have been like post-apocalyptic or whatever we can call it. Literally all of them.
We seem to know there seems to be a trend in what sells.
Apparently.
Let us know what you think of the podcast as a whole or possible show we should have on our radar. Email us redandredrealreviews@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at redandredrealreviews. Get in our DMs. That is the letter N and real spelled with two E's. So this one, Fallout, this one hit the high notes in season 1 because there was a lot of a cult following with it. Mm-hmm. It got a lot of acclaim. The episode rankings are pretty high. So this one definitely kind of has a little bit of juice going into a second season.
Yeah, I think it's been exactly a year. I think the first season came out pretty much in like November, at least the fall, October through December last year. So it's been exactly a year. And I didn't really hear much about it. Yes, it was much acclaimed, but I can't say I really talked to anyone or had any friends who were like, oh my God, I'm watching Fallout and it's awesome. It was kind of one of those things that I heard about from afar that was very acclaimed, but I didn't check it out for myself until a couple months ago. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah, I didn't so much hear about it from personal connections, but I heard a lot about it through the nutmeg backdrop and community. So people definitely were watching it quite a bit. Season 1, I felt like the way this left off, it had a lot to look forward to in a second act. A lot was revealed with Hank MacLean's history, whether or not his daughter Lucy is accepting of that. There's clarity on the villain, whether we call him Cooper, whether we call him the Ghoul, played by Walton Goggins. And this kind of budding romance that started but never kind of got fulfillment towards the end with Lucy and the rogue Titan Maximus, as we learned is his real name. That was kind of left on the cutting room floor. So there was a lot left to be fulfilled or decided upon or to see some finality to in the second season. What were your kind of expectations when you started this one singular episode drop?
I guess my expectations were maybe, wasn't it kind of left open whether Maximus was alive or not? So
he was knocked stone cold.
Okay, no, he did get up at the end. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess they did leave the door open for this romance. Again, we'll get into that later. I have a hot take about that. But yeah, this romance with Lucy and Maximus, we're obviously not seeing the end of the Ghoul. We're gonna see kind of more with Lucy's dad. Like that was kind of the expectation. I just, for some reason, like when I was watching, I just recently watched season 1. It wasn't a year ago. So I just finished it like last week. So all I could really focus on and all I could fixate on was Walton Goggins' nose or lack of nose, like the whole time. And that's what I'm just like trying to figure out how they're doing it for special effects. I'm like, oh, does he have like a little piece of green screen or blue screen on like the end of his nose so that they can um doctor it out and take it out of there? And then in this first episode, I was noticing there was a scene of the Ghoul and Lucy like kind of outside, like I don't know if they were on a cliff or something, and like you could see the mountains or the background, like where his nose was, like they did like a profile. I was like, how are they doing this? I was like, he must have something on his nose where they're taking it away. Like I was just trying to figure out the special effects. Like that's what I was fixated on mostly for some odd reason.
So superficial.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just what I like zeroed in on. I was just fascinated. I was so distracted. I'm thinking the whole time, how are they doing this? Okay, maybe they did it this way. Like that was just the wheels were turning in my head about that the whole time.
It's definitely a different era from the Star Wars, Goonies, that type of makeup era.
Hmm.
Jim Henson's Muppet Studio or whatever he called that organization, where makeup and costumes were very much manual and manipulative, and they didn't have the reliability of being able to do computer effects.
Right, like having to do it in post or something. So you had sent me a video of the actress who plays Lucy talking about Walton Goggins' nose. And, I think it was on like a late night show, and they were commenting on how, wow, it takes a strong actor to be able to, you know, portray the fact that this guy doesn't have a tip of his nose.
And I found that video funny because she says the actress, she's freaking adorable, and she says the whole time she's talking to him, and she's just I just want to go boop because he's got this green screen whatever fixation thing on the front of his face.
Yeah, it makes me think of Voldemort. Like it makes me think of that the whole time as well.
Yeah, the hairless rat that he was.
The lack of nose character.
Binge to Ginge, what you got for one thing the audience to look for?
So, one thing I found pretty engaging and interesting was the music. And pretty much from season one, from the beginning, too. And in season two, I noticed when the credits rolled and they were using, I think, one of the songs from earlier on in the episode. I don't know. I find myself, it's kind of obscure music, I feel like. It's from I guess I looked it up. I guessed like the 50s maybe, but I guess in the season one and part of season two, they've used like music from the 40s through the 60s. Like a lot of it's from the 50s, but it's a mix. So I know a lot of like oldies songs, but for some reason, these are more obscure songs that I don't necessarily know or that many people might not know. Like they weren't like big hits in the 50s. So I did like the fact that despite them being songs that I've never heard before, they still served the purpose in the scene and went along with whatever the scene was. And then they get stuck in your head and you're
Well,
kind of like singing them the whole rest of the episode, like in your head. You're like, oh, I can't get that song out of my head.
music does make a big difference. I mean, it's not far fetched to, the Donna Donna, the Jaws theme. People know
Yeah.
that something's
Yeah.
climactic is about to happen. So it's definitely a mnemonic technique, I guess would be the expression. Um, and it also, to your point, like when they do the flashbacks to the Ghoul when he's Cooper way back when, it's in sort of this early modern American 1940s, 1950s type
Right.
of era. So the music does tie in well to the scene set they're conveying.
Right. They're trying to give it that vintage vibe. And I do like that. That's how you know that it's like the before times,
Four times.
before the bad stuff happened. What is before times? Like I feel like that's been used in some other book or
This
movie.
COVID.
Oh, well. No, I feel like it's been used before that, like the before times. That's been used as a phrase with something. But yeah, I liked how they did that. I liked how they set the vintage vibe with the music, and that's how you know that this is a flashback, you know. But they also used it in I think in like fight scenes and stuff like that, they use those older songs. So like it's kind of that's the time period of the music through the whole thing, which I don't know, I like, and I think it's interesting. And I don't remember what it was for the life of me, but that first episode in the second season, there was some song they played that I like had in my head, and it was kind of it's kind of dark. And I remember it's one of those things like, you know, that song Pumped Up Kicks, all the other kids with the pumped up, like it's a really snappy song, but it's about like a school event. I'm not going to say what it is so we get censored, but it's a very dark song with the guise of a super snappy pop song, and that's kind of what this song was. Like it was kind of dark in theme, but it was like you're grooving to it. So like I found it was almost comical that they were choosing those kind of songs for like fight scenes or for somewhat like dark scenes.
Imagine somebody one day down the road, someone's getting their ass kicked in a movie to Friday, Friday, you gotta get down on Friday.
Well, I feel like Twisted Metal did push that button a little bit, right? Wasn't there like
Yeah,
a they used the thong song for
yeah.
one of the
When he was racing away, right? Then thong
yeah,
song played in the
yeah.
car.
So yeah, so I feel like sometimes I don't know, shows kind of have that like offbeat thing where it's a little bit comedic where they're choosing like a corny song for something very serious or vice versa.
Yeah, or something very serious for a silly moment.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually really glad that this was the thing you brought up because like I was very slow in life to get into contemporary music. So like my kind of bass music is what my grandparents listened to, and that was a
Mm,
lot of big band stuff, a lot of big band, a lot of Elvis. So
mm.
big band to me is something it's not that obscure to me. I hear it and it sounds wonderful to me.
Did you know all these songs though?
No, I won't comment on that, but that things something my recollection is not the best, so something really has to be something drilled into my brain for me to recognize it.
Yeah, I mean, I took a like I didn't listen to it in my youth or anything, or in the backseat of my parents' car when we were going to dinner, like when they were listening to the oldies station. But I did a history of jazz class in college, and like they played like the Benny Goodman Orchestra sang like, which is a song that most people don't realize that they know. So like I did listen to that big band kind of stuff, and this wasn't really the stuff that you would hear on an oldie station. It seemed sort of obscure. That's why like I feel like I have a pretty good barometer of like the big hits at least in my life from, the 50s to currently. And I the fact that I didn't know most of these songs, I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, so this must be a little bit obscure if I'm not aware of it being like a hit that I've heard before."
They're very much in the vein of Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, Glenn
Mm,
Miller, these
yeah.
type of artists from that era.
Yep.
But it is something. It is a style that I very much hold near and dear. I even have 40s Junction on my Sirius program in the car,
Oh wow.
which
Serious.
actually this time of year I'm not so much a fan of it because that's the station they replaced for the holiday music.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know. The older I get, the less I'm into holiday music. I'm just like, I can't take it.
Well,
Unless it's Wham.
we are from the generation that has had to deal with Mariah Carey for the last 25 years.
I know. But yeah, Wham is pretty much where I draw the line. I'm like, I want to hear Last Christmas a million times. That's kind of about it.
That's what went. Okay, I gotcha.
Wham, yeah.
For my one thing, I'm gonna deep dive back to a something we kind of touched on a little bit with the
Mm,
dynamics between Lucy and the Ghoul. Um, And this season kind of picks up to what we assumed off of season one with them kind of having a partnership,
Mm,
although they seem to have different interpretations and different strategies towards like how they're going to interact in this partnership because Lucy, I think deep down, she doesn't want to accept Hank MacLean's her father's real
mm,
role in what New Vegas, how the Wasteland came to be. And the Ghoul is extreme because he saw it up close and personal. He's extremely accepting of
mm.
how bad Hank MacLean is. So it's kind of like she's going into this with trepidation, and he's going into this full-fledged, kick ass and take names mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that, he's been around and he's seen things that he can't forget. And he's listen, little girl, like, you don't understand the extent of it. So, like, he gets frustrated because, like, he's very cynical from the things he's seen, and she's
Hmm.
very naive, and she
Yeah,
just doesn't know the half of it. And so, obviously, what they're setting up here is what is kind of a signature movie TV show trope, is like the unlikely duo scenario,
yeah,
where it's like
odd
you have
couple.
yeah, the odd couple. You have I think we've talked about this before about many odd couples in the shows that we've watched, but yeah, this is an obvious one. It's like normally they hate each other. I think Lucy is basically scared of him because wasn't he the one that chopped off her fingers or her hand or whatever?
Yeah,
So
which was kind of like a wake-up moment. I
yeah,
think that's what he was trying to prove with that.
yeah. So kind of a high cost to pay to come to a realization, but yeah, I mean that's what they're trying to do here, obviously, is the fact that these two are going to be traveling together and trying to accomplish something together. Like there's a mission that's larger than them, but yeah, you're going to have these like moments along the way where they disagree or they butt heads or they're like, oh, you're not like me and I do things differently. And I mean that's the whole fun of the odd couple trope, right?
Yeah, yeah, they're very, very much, two negatives don't make a positive, something like that. I don't know, whatever. But there's they have that appeal because of not just because of their own expectations of how to interact on this quest of theirs,
Mm,
but also like you said because of she's used to this world that's very clean and isolated growing up in the vaults,
mhm.
and he remembers the before times, there we go again, and he also has had to live out more in this wasteland type of world where it's very much, I don't want to say do or die or cat eat dog or anything like that, but it's survival mode out there.
Yeah, she just doesn't get it, and that's what his frustration is. And you can see it when there's a moment in the first episode where they come up with a plan and they have differing plans in mind. So the plan doesn't really unfold very smoothly because they really disagree about how they're going to do this, and it's sort of in a comical way how it goes awry. But yeah, that's I'm assuming there's going to be more of that, in this second season, is more of their butting heads and more of them showing the other the reality of what they know and how they grew up or what they've dealt with.
Yeah, and it can still breed to very comical dialogue too, as that uh interaction was kind of a shoot for this person versus shoot for this person here versus shoot for this person here and kill them.
Yeah, and it almost kind of gave me the tone of like the I would almost say it's kind of like dark comedy, and it's not dissimilar to like Twisted Metal. It's not dissimilar to like a movie that I would think of like Pleasantville, where it's like, okay, we have this like vintage setting, we have
Yeah.
people who are very naive and in this like, you know, shallow world, and then like we're just gonna like say something really dark with a smile on our face, or we're going to talk about messed up things, but we're going to do it in a way that's um like cookie cutter and gee golly gosh, like that
Yeah.
whole like 1950s vibe, even though this is in the future. I think the Ghoul says at one point he makes a reference to like something about I've been doing this for 200 years or something like that. So is it that much in the future?
Oh yeah, I think definitely there's a time frame that kind of is a little bit perplexing as far as how
Mm,
many years have surpassed. And like it's easy to foresee that in someone like the Ghoul who's, kind of living out and his skin's deteriorated. He's
he's
kind of
falling
a
apart.
zombie of he's kind of like a zombie of sorts. But someone
Yeah.
like Hank MacLean who hasn't aged a day,
Mm,
that I feel like there's probably going to be some kind of reveal, like they did something to engineer their genetics so they didn't age or whatever. I would hope something like that would come through. I mean, obviously that, and for all we know, that could be revealed
mm,
by Lucy's brother being trapped in that room, and there could be some reveal out of that, which why there's an anti-aging process with some of the characters.
the what do you call that? Not cryogenics. Is that the right
Yeah, when you're
word?
frozen. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing I want to note about this is from what I've seen him in, he's in a lot of commercials. He does those silly eyewear ads, Walton Goggins goggles or whatever it is. To what
Walmart.
I
Have you seen all the Walmart commercials?
oh, he does Walmart commercials too.
He does Walmart. He was in like a back to school campaign, which I was like, okay, you're trying to sell Walmart goods from a 50 something year old man to kids. Like, how is that making sense?
Well, he's kind of a goofy guy. It could work. Um, and but like from that to like the shows I've seen him in and like bit roles, the stuff we've covered, like the White Lotus.
Mm.
For the most part, Walton Goggins has been something I can like take or leave. But the more I see him in, the more I kind of like him, and to the point where one of these days I might deep dive on Righteous Gemstones and catch up on that because the more I see of him, the more I appreciate his abilities as an actor.
Yeah, I mean, I think I thought he was good in White Lotus. This, I mean, I guess he's okay. I mean, I one of my friends speaks very highly about the Righteous Gemstones, and I haven't seen that. I guess like not that he's a bad actor or anything, or that I thought that in White Lotus. I don't know. I don't really get like yes, he's a good actor, but I don't really get like the like hype that is being created from him. Like the oh my god, it's Walton Goggins, he's so good. Oh my god, it's this balding middle-aged man who's like the best actor ever, and he's suddenly everywhere. Like I don't really get that, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a bad actor by any means. I think he's pretty good, but I just kind of think this whole hype is a little bit like premature slash like people are making him overrated.
Well, I think because he's grown from roles of like background actors, background roles. So I also kind of feel like maybe he's someone that he needs to grow on you a little bit. Like the roles he plays are so minute that his presence in those roles needs to really mature on people.
Yeah, and I mean I didn't hear about him until probably a year ago or whenever White Lotus was. That's when people started talking about him, but I mean the only thing I've heard about his like personal character was that he allegedly had an affair with the actress who played Amy on White Lotus, and that there was some like fight or falling out that they had because of it, because he's married. So
Hmm.
I mean that's all I know of like his personal character. So I don't know if that's me. Like for me it's kind of hard to detach an actor or a creator or an artist or a musician from like what they appear like as just people, not being not their professions. You know what I mean? Like it does kind of bleed through sometimes, and sometimes I can't turn that off. Like stuff that I know, I can't turn that off.
I've gotten to the point where that's just something I have to do in order to enjoy any kind of entertainment or cinema because there's so many wacky things in Hollywood that if you're going to enjoy anything, you have to disconnect reality from fiction. You just have to.
I can't
Because
do it.
as soon as you find out something about an actor or a director or whatever you don't like, you're always going to think about that when you're watching their work. You're always going to do it. So that to me, that's always something that you just have to put on the sideline.
Guilty. I'm that person who like I can't either I just choose to not watch anything with them again, or I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, I can't forget that they did X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, I just accept that 95% of what they do off camera I'm not going to agree with. So
Yeah. Well, I hold grudges, I'll admit it.
yeah. Um, all right. So verdict time. I feel like you're gonna have a hot take here, even if there's a generally positive caveat to it, to the show's quality. So give your opinion of what if our audience should be in on Fallout.
Oh geez. Where do I start? I have multiple hot takes rolled into one. So I'm going to be positive here to start off. So I'm going to frame it as should the average person watch Fallout Season 2? And I'm going to say yes, I think so. Like that would be a fair assumption to make that most people would like it. Whether or not they've played the video game, I don't know if that correlates to whether people like it or not, but my assumption would be that generally people would like it. Like this show is pretty highly rated, as you mentioned. It has like an 8.3 or something on IMDb. So it's clearly a favorite for a reason. So I don't know. I maybe this is like a one-off for me. I don't like this doesn't happen very often for me where I watch an entire season of a show, which I watched season 1, and I just like never really grab onto it, never really get into it. It just never really reeled me in, and I never got the feeling of like, oh wow, I need to watch the next episode. I literally watched every single episode like in one episode at a time. I never watch more than two at one time. And I actually I was falling asleep during every single episode that I watched. And I thought that that was just because like, oh, well, I have this busy period of time in my life, or I'm waiting to watch it and right before I go to bed, maybe I should start it earlier. So I tested that theory. I watched it right after dinner last week and still fell asleep at like 7:30 p.m. So I was still nodding off. So I was like, I don't know, something about this is just not connecting with me. And I honestly don't like, I don't understand why, you know, I sort of feel like, I don't know, it's not a bad show. Like the cinematics are beautiful. Like, you know, I mentioned the music is great. There's just something missing for me. And I don't know if it's because it's a video game adaptation that it sort of gives it that cartoony aspect to it. You know, like there is some like comedy, but like I don't feel any connection or pull towards Lucy, the main character. Like even there's a moment where in the first episode this season where she teams up with Ghoul, they have this plan. I'm not gonna say like what it is, but um there's this whole thing where like she's, you know, about to like shoot or unload a gun and she's like okie dokie, or she says something like that, and it's just like I don't know, like I don't. And I have seen this complaint in the IMDb reviews. Like, of course, you know, a lot of the reviews say 10, 10, 10. But I was looking at the 1 and 2 star reviews to see if anyone said like what I felt. And they did. They said that they feel like the characters never really develop. And I would agree with that. I don't feel a connection towards Lucy. I don't, like you never, despite what she's going through, which is pretty strenuous, to have to like, you were raised in this vault and like, this whole different way of life. And then you have to be out and then like you get your freaking hand chopped off. Like the things that she's dealing with, like, should require more emotion, and it seems very like flat and cold to me. And so I never really could identify with her. And then I'm just going to say it. So I feel like I'm posing the question, is the reason that she like fell in love with Maximus at the end of season 1, is it just because like he's one of the only guys on earth? Because
Yeah,
I just
probably.
there's honestly no chemistry, and like I'm not meaning to be harsh, but there's zero chemistry between those characters. Like I
Well,
just
a lot of these criticisms are by design. I mean, you're talking about someone that grew up in this bubble, basically. It's there's not there's not going to be a progressive mind linear state to get to where she is now in this wasteland. There's like it's not 0 to 100, it's 0 and 100. Like there's no baby steps to accept what's going on with this, cataclysmic uh, 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 apocalypse that's going on out
Well,
there.
that's what I mean, is like when you're so sheltered like that, or when you grow up so sheltered, if you were like, if I were in a wasteland, I would not make it. I'll tell you that much. I would not make it for 5 seconds. Like going from being extremely sheltered to that situation, like it would wreak havoc on like your spirit. And I just don't like that actress. She was in Yellow Jackets, and she was good in that. Which
Well,
I'm never going to watch that show again, but that's a whole nother thing. But I mean, I just don't see, like, I don't know if it's the character. I don't think it's the actress. Just the character is very cold and flat to me, considering what she's been through.
it's the presence of emotion and the absence of emotion. When you're in a situation where you don't know how to react, sometimes a non-reaction is a reaction. If you don't know how to process something, you don't know how to act. So it's just kind of like okie dokie, let's go with it. Like you're not
Yeah,
you're
I don't
not gonna
know.
logically process this and piece together the steps you need to do because you don't know what the steps are. That's why she's kind of taking the Ghoul's lead on that.
Yeah, I just wonder if maybe because it's a video game adaptation, that like it makes it a little bit like there is that like, oh, I'm gonna have like the funny like one-liners, or like the okie dokie, like the catchphrase kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's
I don't
kind of
know.
like
I
Twisted Metal.
just, yeah. And although I would argue that Twisted Metal did a better job, believe it or not, developing their characters. At least I connected with them a little bit. I mean, Twisted Metal is a little bit too like out in left field dark comedy for me, for my liking. But at least like you feel for the characters and you root for them. Like I honestly just I don't feel any sort of pull or connection to these characters at all. And the chemistry with the one like relationship like was not there.
Well, I think that's also by design too, because I can look at it from one stance. She's used to the courtship element of these other characters, other men that are equally as vanilla and plain as she was raised to be. So there's not going to be chemistry there too because there's no dynamicism that someone would feel a spark with. And then she meets this guy who is basically a kid that was abandoned in a pod that survived the nuclear blast, and like he has absolutely no knowledge of how to interact people because he's never interacted with people. So when he sees like someone showing some kind of romantic interest, she at least was exposed to romantic interest, even if it wasn't in a genuine way. He was exposed to none of it, so he doesn't know how to react to any of that at all. And then because he doesn't know how to react to that, it's also a little bit of you want what you can't have because he doesn't know how to respond to that. So her efforts and her throwing herself at him. He's like, oh, what are you doing? This is weird, you know. So it's kind of like creates that mentality of her like, I want what I can't have because he doesn't immediately want to get in my pants.
Yeah, or maybe it's just that they're both too naive or immature to like to have a legitimate connection. Like they don't really know what a connection or what love is.
I mean, 200 years being raised in those elements, you're definitely not going to be aware of those kind of genuine feelings and dynamic relationship aspects.
Yeah, and to that point, where they mention it in this first episode, how all the people in the vault are like distant cousins. There's a lot of
Yeah,
like
there's a little
inbreeding.
incest. Yeah.
There's like inbreeding because like your father is like your mother's third cousin. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it's even closer than that, which is like
It's weird and icky, but when you think of, the survivors of a global catastrophe, there's probably
right.
not a lot of options either.
Right. Like it's slim pickings. And that's kind of what I was like, is she just like into him because like he's one of the only guys left on earth that she's come across? She's like, he'll do. Like, I don't know.
Well, and even with the lack of options, he's still exceedingly different than all the other men in the vault because,
Hmm.
he was raised out in nothing and he's, got this big mech suit that he stole, not even his.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so TLDW, I guess.
LDW.
Yeah, we'll say, all this being said, I won't continue watching it, but I don't necessarily think that means that everyone wouldn't like it. So I would just say odds are the average person would probably like it. I did not for whatever reason.
Yeah, and also what I find is that this season there's a little bit of an element of that government corruption plot
Oh,
line too, so that's also an intriguing factor to me.
mm,
If you think we are intriguing and enjoy listening to our show, we would very much appreciate a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you think of each episode, and remember, hit follow or subscribe as we are at the mercy of these show's releases, so you don't want to miss a release. Next up, the latest crop of a Stranger Things drop. This final stanza that's being legged out in front before our eyes. There's probably going to be a lot to unpack in these 3 episodes, and it's going to set up, I'm sure, a pretty climactic finale. So there's something to be excited about, but there's also some that it's not going to be resolved in these 3 episodes, right?
yeah. And they're supposed to be long too, I think. I think they're all supposed to be like 90 minutes. So it'll be a good chunk of stuff to kind of hold us over until the finale, I guess.
That's right. Which will ring in the new year. This one will ring in Christmas. So Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to our faithful viewers and listeners out there. Until the next real review, Ben and Red signing out.